I have a question for you. How resilient do you think you are? Very? Hardly? It depends? Yeah, me too. A combination really of all three. Chances are you have been through your share of heartache and hardships. I know I have. And that's really the problem with resilience. You have to face great adversity and pain to uncover it. And if you're normal, you'd like to avoid any more of that experience if possible. Resilience. That is a word that is being used everywhere right now. I have a friend who just started a podcast called Resilient Leaders with J.R. Briggs. It's a word that the church has been using all over the place. I just went to a webinar where they were talking about the need for resilience. Even that ESPN Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, that word, that idea, resilience, it is everywhere. That and determination. And normally I like to avoid overusing terms and concepts, but these days I'm very captivated by the need of growing in my resilience. So again, I ask, how resilient are you? Well, I want to share a few ways where we can grow in resilience, and there's three steps really. First is to take inventory of the suffering in us and around us. It's actually a very healthy thing to admit that you are suffering. You can go to the opposite side of that and the complete pendulum swing and wallow in suffering. That's not good. That's not healthy. But first we have to admit that we're suffering. We have to acknowledge it. And then we have to look to the Lord for strength in the midst of that suffering. And then we also have to consider the suffering around us too. We all know people who are affected by this pandemic one way or another. There are those who have had to say goodbye to their loved ones. There are those whose livelihoods are at risk. There are those who are facing great relational strains for one reason or another. There are those who are isolated right now and falling perhaps into some type of a depression or into a deeper depression. We think of all those who are in need in this country and throughout our world. Those suffering from global poverty are actually more concerned of dying from hunger rather than from COVID symptoms. You need resilience, and so do the people around you. And it's when we identify the suffering that gives us perspective. So see that as step one. Second is to choose to lean into the hard times. Choose to lean into these hard times. What I mean is don't look for the escape hatch. Even in quarantine, we can attempt to escape from the pain that is within us and around us. Now, we can never really fully escape, but we try to. We try to escape to our devices for a different type of reality that numbs us. Really, how else can we explain this Tiger King phenomenon? Or we might try to escape towards food or to drink or to whatever it is that might distract us from the pain or hardship that awaits us. Let's not do that. But again, with the strength of God, let's lean into these hard times. One of my favorite books of the past few years has been Emotionally Healthy Leaders by Peter Scazzero, same author of Emotionally Healthy Spirituality. But in this book, Emotionally Healthy Leaders, in the second chapter, he talks about the need to face your shadow. And by using techniques like naming your feelings and identifying the negative scripts that have been handed down to you, you can face your shadow. And when we do, we often find that our shadow side reveals a hidden strength that was hiding all along. That's part of resilience. Lean into that so we can experience personal healing and so we can also serve those around us too. So the third is to commit to rely on God's provision. Our physical needs, yes, but also our emotional and relational, and of course, our spiritual needs. And not just, again, for us, but for those around us, those who are in physical need, those with emotional pain, those who have a need for friendship and community, those that need to be assured that there is a God who truly loves them. We can learn resilience by going on these rugged mountain climbing trips and conquering intense whitewater rapids and fighting off bears. That's one way. But we can also learn resilience right where we are right now by also taking these words from the Apostle Paul that he wrote in Romans chapter 12, verses 11 and 12, where he writes, "Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, and faithful in prayer. Friends, may you take inventory of your hardships. May you lean into them, and may you rely on God's provision, because it's in confronting our hardships that the Lord gives and reveals resilience. Grace and peace to you, friends.